Hello and welcome to Crossout, bringing games that you missed to the spotlight. With the recent events with the swine flu taking over many people's minds, why don't you take a light-hearted approach to the game Swine and let it into your heart? This game is an action strategy game about a war between pigs and rabbits. Most of the game will be controlled by vehicles and tanks and similars. The game depicts a fictional invasion of the pigs invading the country of the rabbits and conquering it. And it actually draws a lot of parallel lines with the World War II events with Germany as the pigs invading the French, which are represented as the rabbits. And actually, as I heard in the English versions, rabbits and pigs have awful accents, French and German respectively, and I don't actually know because I played the Russian version of the game and the voice acting is really amazing there, and it helps a lot because there are a lot of jokes in the game, because the characters have a lot to say about everything. They talk about the conditions of the terrain, they talk about the events of the mission, and they discuss defeating enemies and stuff in a very humorous way. Of course, I understand humor is a matter of taste, but in my opinion it's great and it's really funny. Now, as I said, the game is an action and strategy game, so you will not be doing any resource gathering in the game. Instead, you'll have a set amount of units you'll start the campaign with, and with every successful mission you'll get strategy points for which you can buy additional units. Also, there is quite an effort made to make the game as realistic as possible, so you will have to maintain your vehicles and repair them and fill them with fuel and supply them with ammo. As you probably have noticed, tanks have 2 degrees of being destroyed. One is the half destroyed when there's still the remainders of the tank, when you can still revive it and repair it and man it and take it back to your control, and the other is the destroyed when you just lost the unit. To refuel, fix and re-ammuniate all your units, there are carriages with the respective types of supplies, which are carried around with carriage cars, which also can carry all different types of vehicles, and even can hatch up enemy vehicles and just drag them away. The graphics in the game are actually really great. It's very detailed. There's smoke coming out of tanks if they're heavily damaged, and there's smoke coming out of the tanks after the shoot, and there's dust coming up when the tires go around, and the explosions look quite neat. The soundtrack in the game is really good, the music is quite nice. As I always said, the voice acting is very cheesy and at times downright terrible, but the rest is quite good and really enjoyable. The problems with the game involve mostly the pathfinding AI, which is downright terrible, and sometimes it just loses control and swerves around in different directions and just doesn't know where to go or just gets stuck. What enhances the problem is the realism put into vehicles, so tanks and rocket launchers can rotate almost in the exact spot, while vehicles running on normal wheels have to take room to turn around. And that's a major problem in tight spaces because they just get jammed there and can't really get along and out of there. Additional issue is the AI, which is quite hard actually on many places, but it's quite passive, so it won't try to hunt you down unless you stumble into its line of sight or a nearby unit of the enemy alerts it to come and help. But other than that, usually you can avoid contact, though the normal ways to get to the objectives of the mission is through the enemy lines. Another downfall of the game is that there are only missions in the game, so there is no sandbox play, and the missions eventually get kind of repetitive and annoying. A few of the awesome features in the game are the special abilities of the vehicles. So tanks can entrench themselves in the ground, for example, and then their defenses rise up considerably, but they become unable to move and avoid enemy fire. Also, commander's car can call for an airstrike for a few of your strategy points, and that's quite good as last resort. Because there are only missions, the replay value actually is quite low, and therefore you're probably gonna play the game once till you forget it. But still, even with the problems with the pathfinding and the AI being annoying and you losing the missions quite often, you'll still enjoy every minute of it, probably because of the great humor and just the fun of the game. Because unlike all other strategy games, this one isn't supposed to be taken seriously. It's supposed to be fun, and maybe even the exaggerated accents are part of that and made to make it even more lighthearted. So the game has quite a few downfalls and it's not perfect, but it's still worth getting, and it'll still be fun as you play it. Actually, by this time, it might be a good idea to give it as a Christmas gift to someone just for having fun and laughs with him about it and about the game overall. Even the game is fun, and if you play it with friends, the jokes can become inside jokes very easily and just gets really fun and wicked from there. The game mechanics eventually get quite simple and sometimes even do get quite repetitive, and the missions are quite obvious. So it's like, go to point A, get a tank of fuel and bring it to point B, and that's it. And of course destroy all enemies along the way, but it still gets the idea done. And as I said, the game is great. The atmosphere it puts you in is really fun, and the missions don't tend to drag on for too long, and they will rarely take over half an hour to complete unless you make them drag for that and play very slowly. What is a little bit disappointing with the game is that the rabbit campaign and the pig campaign are quite similar in structure. Both have the same type of missions and both have the same type of units, so there isn't much variety in which you play. But the rabbit campaign is more of a beginner's campaign, while the pig campaign is much more complex and much more difficult, and you start against very strong units from the beginning of the game. And overall, is the game worth hunting down and massive seeking for? No, but if you stumble upon it, you sure better get it, because it will eventually be great fun for you, unless you don't like the humor and then just pass it on to somebody else who might like it. So you should give it a try and see what it's worth.